Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. My name is Anna English and this is English Like a Native. We are covering should, would and could. And we're going to do it as quickly as we can, but this is quite a tricky subject, to be honest. There's quite a lot of uses for these words. I didn't even realise until I started making the notes for you. I was like, oh, these are complicated words. So let's get through it as quickly as we can. Hopefully, I will make it very clear for you when you use would, should, and could. If you are here on Facebook, hello. You won't see any notes on Facebook. You will only see notes on YouTube. So if you need notes, if your English is still developing and it's not too advanced, then maybe come over to YouTube where you'll be able to see the notes and you'll see a lot of what I'm saying. That will help you. The link for the YouTube channel is up in the description or down in the description around this video. YouTube, you're going to get the notes. Let's have a look at the notes right now. Of course, anyone dropping a super chat will be entitled to a copy of these notes. So as a way of saying thank you, and they're quite full today, quite a lot of notes to get through. So let's get straight on into it. Right, so should, would, could. Technically, these are called auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs. But let's keep this simple, shall we? You know how I feel about grammar. If you walk up to any native and say, hey, do you know what an auxiliary verb is? Most of them will go, what? What verb? What now? They will be completely confused because we do not know these grammar rules. We know them subconsciously. We know the rules subconsciously, but we didn't learn rules. And so I want to try and teach you in a different way. So let's not worry about rules so much. Let's just go through examples and see if we can experience the words enough to understand where we should be using them. I would ask, if you think this is a useful lesson and you're going to stick it with me today, you're going to stick with me, then please do show your appreciation by giving this a like. Let's get those likes up. And it would be really great if you can click the share button. The more people we can get in, then the bigger this channel grows, the more it helps me out, and the more you can help me out, the more time I can dedicate to making videos for you, and I'll be less distracted by doing other jobs which pay my bills. I'd rather do this with you, so help me out by clicking the share button and I can do more for you the more you help me grow. Deal? Yay! All right, let's go. So the first word we're going to look at is the word should. Should. Now, technically, let's go through the examples. Sorry, the uses. So we use the word should, usually under four circumstances. We talk about it when we're talking about obligation. We use it when we're giving advice or opinions. We use it when talking about probability, and we use it when we're using conditionals. So let's first of all talk about obligation. What does obligation mean? Obligation means like what you are responsible for, what you are obliged to do, what you have a duty to do. For example, a mother is obligated to look after her son. A mother is obligated to look after her son. A husband is obligated to care for and respect his wife. A wife is obligated to care for and respect and love her husband. A pet owner. If I own this bear and this bear needs feeding, I've bought him, I've said I want to be responsible for him. It is my responsibility, my obligation to make sure he is well fed and watered and happy and comfortable. So it's about duty, what you should do, what you are obliged to do. If you have a job and you sign a contract for your job, you are obliged to do that job. It is your obligation to turn up to work every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whichever days you work, and to start work on time and work until the time that you're allowed to go. It's your obligation. So you should go to work. And this is how we use it. You should go to work. It is your obligation. So let's have a look at some example sentences when we're talking about should with obligation or duty. So here I've just written in the notes again, we should use should to indicate obligation, and often this is used in criticism of someone or something. So we often use should when we're criticizing, when we're going, hey, you should be at work. So if I'm cleaning your house, I am your cleaner. Da 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 da, hello, I'm going to clean your house. And normally when I clean your house at 10 o'clock in the morning, you are at work because you start work at 9 o'clock. And I come in, da 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 da. I open the bedroom door to come and get the bed linen and do the laundry. And you're in bed. And I go, oh, you should be at work. Why are you in bed? You should be at work. That is me criticizing you because you are failing in your obligation. You should be at work. Naughty, naughty. Get to work. Or I could say it in the negative. I could say, shouldn't you be at work? Question mark. That means should not. Should not you be at work? Shouldn't you be at work? Are you ill? Shouldn't you be at work now? So examples I've got written down here are those kids should be in school. So I'm driving along, it's midday, noon, on a Wednesday afternoon, and I see some children wearing school uniforms and they are playing on the street corner. And I say those kids should be in school, not on the street corner, they should be in school. I'm criticizing them. Another example here is, we should pay the bill before we leave. We should pay the bill before we leave. So imagining we're at a restaurant and we're just about to go, and then I say, oh no, hang on, we haven't paid. We should pay the bill before we leave. Of course. Of course, you don't want to leave without paying. We should pay the bill before we leave. The other one I've got written down is, he shouldn't behave like that. So let's imagine we're in a board meeting at work in a company. Everyone is wearing a tie and a suit, looking very, very official. And we're having a meeting, and one man gets very upset, very angry, and he starts shouting, and he's going red in his face. And he starts banging his fists on the table and going, no! I want it my way! Then we might turn to each other and say, he shouldn't behave like that. He shouldn't behave like that, should he? Tag question. He shouldn't behave like that, should he? That's bad behaviour. Okay, so the next one is, I've written, shouldn't the handbrake be on? So this is in criticism of something. We've parked the car. We're about to leave the car, and I notice that the handbrake, if you drive a car, is the lever in between the seats. If you drive in any other country apart from the UK, you'll be doing it this side. And you pull that up to make sure the car is definitely, the brakes are on, it's not going to roll away, or no one can push it away. So I might look and say, oh, the handbrake isn't on. Shouldn't the handbrake be on? Shouldn't the handbrake be on? Question mark. Okay, so I think that's pretty straightforward. Is everyone happy with that? So we use should when we're talking about obligation or duty, and usually in criticism of someone else. Patrons, let's have a quick look at what you're saying. Should I have more free time today, I could watch it, but I would not complain, for it's my bad. Is that correct? Kind of. Should I have more free time today? I could watch it, yes, but I wouldn't. In that case, Eric, you'd say I wouldn't complain rather than would not. It just feels more natural to contract that. I wouldn't complain, for it's my bad. So that, and then that would be correct. Okay? Fabulous. Loads of comments coming through on YouTube, and I'm guessing on Facebook too. It's really hard for me to see the comments because they whiz past so quickly. I'm not ignoring you, so don't get the wrong idea. It's very hard to keep everything going. So hold your questions to the end, and I'll try and answer questions at the end, but this is going to be quite a long lesson, so just bear with me. Okay, so we are now moving on to the next usage of should, which is to advise or to give your opinion. So to give advice. For example, if you're not feeling very well, or perhaps I walk in and you have cut yourself, you're making breakfast and you're trying to cut something, maybe some fruit, you're cutting a melon, you're cutting the melon, you slip and you cut your hand and you're bleeding out lots and lots, and I go, oh, you should see a doctor immediately. So this is my advice to you. It's also my opinion, but mostly it's my advice. You should see a doctor immediately. Go and see a doctor. You should. I could also say if you're overweight, like Teddy's got a bit of a fat tummy, and I say, you should go on a diet. You should definitely go on a diet, because it's not healthy to have a big fat tummy. Okay, so it's advice. In a way of advising, we would use should. Okay. Anton, I've just quickly noticed out of the corner of my eye, should I stay or should I go? Who knows that song? Should I stay or should I go now? I can't remember who did that song. Great song. Anyway, but yes, that uses should. So, and that's asking an opinion. Should I stay or should I go? In your opinion, which one do you think I should do? Should I come live every single day? Or should I go live once a week? What is your opinion? So we use should also to give opinions. I think you should do a live lesson for 10 minutes. I think you should wear red more often. I think you should go outside and do 20 star jumps every day because it's good for you. So to give advice or to give an opinion. And the last few example sentences I've given here are, we should try to catch the 8 o'clock train. We should try to catch the 8 o'clock train. We use the verb catch when we're talking about getting a train or a bus. You catch the train, you catch the bus. Obviously, you don't catch it, you jump on it. So we should try to catch the 8 o'clock train. It was The Clash who sang that song. Thank you, Paloxio. The next example sentence is, a day at the seaside should do you the world of good. So imagine you're feeling quite stressed, you're not well, and I say, let's go out to Blackpool. Blackpool's a long way away from where I am, maybe Brighton. Let's go out to Brighton. It's not that far away, it's a couple of hours away. Let's go to Brighton. A day at the seaside at Brighton should do you the world of good. That's my opinion. I don't know for definite if that's true, but in my opinion, I think it will. So I say, it should do you the world of good. It should work. And then the final 2 examples I've got here are, I don't think you should be eating that chocolate bar. So if I catch Teddy, when I've told Teddy he should be on a diet and he agrees with me, and then I come home and he's snaffling is to be kind of grabbing and eating. He's chomping down on a chocolate bar, chomping down, and I say, I don't think you should be eating that chocolate bar, fatty. In a nice way, of course. And he gets sad, and I say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you fat. You can eat your chocolate bar if you want to. Okay, the next one is, what should I buy my mother this Christmas? What should I buy? And that should be for, really, if I'm going to be strictly grammatically correct. What should I buy for my mother this Christmas? What should I buy for my mother this Christmas? I never know what to buy for my mother because my mother is a hoarder. My mother hoards. That means she keeps lots of things. So her house is full of stuff. And we always have a battle to make my mother get rid of things. Because she's a hoarder, she doesn't want to let anything go. And we always have this battle to make her get rid of things. And so I don't want to buy her more things to add to her hoard. So I try to buy her like massages or a nice perfume or something, or a nice meal or a hairdo. Okay, so one of you on Facebook has said there's only 66 people viewing. That can't be right. I'm afraid it is. So how you can help me with that, Facebook, is click that share button right now and share this on your wall. Let's get more people in. Come on, that's what you should do to help me out. Thank you. Okay, so I just want to say a huge thank you to Julia. I've seen that you just dropped a super chat. Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. A €2 super chat saying, for my lovely daily lesson with the best teacher. That's very, very sweet. Thank you, Julia. Julia, of course, I will send you a copy of the notes as a way of saying thank you. Hopefully that will help you with your students and help you to remember today's lesson. And all the contributions via Super Chat do go towards helping me grow this channel. So those of you who do donate, you are doing something good for the rest of the community. So thank you. Okie dokie, let's carry on. So we've talked about obligation and we've talked about opinion and advice. And now we're going to talk about the word should when we're talking about probability. What is probably going to happen? So we think it will happen, it's very likely to happen, and so we're going to use should. Excuse me. And so I might say to you, the bus, we're waiting for the bus and it's cold, and I say, the bus should be here any minute now. Don't worry, the bus should be here any minute now. It's highly likely that the bus will be here at any moment, like in a few moments. Or it's highly probable, it's very probable that the bus will be here any minute. So instead of using those words, I just use should. The bus should be here any minute now. We can also say, we should have enough time to grab lunch. So if I see you in central London and I say, hi, how are you? And you say, oh, I've got so much to tell you, Anna. I don't even know where to begin. I've got so much that I want to say. I don't know where to begin. And so I might say, look, I've got a meeting in about half an hour, but we should have just enough time to go and grab lunch. We should. And so we go and grab lunch. So it's probable. And also the other example is, there's a fiver. So I've given you a fiver. There's a fiver. If you don't know, a fiver is a £5 note. It's £5. There's a fiver. It should cover my sandwich. So imagining that you are going out to lunch. I can't leave the office. And you say to me, Anna, do you need me to buy you anything from the sandwich shop? And I say, yes, please. Could you buy me a cheese and pickle sandwich? Please. And you say, of course. And I go into my purse. And I find a £5 note and I say, there's a fiver. It should be enough to cover, that means to cover the cost of, it should be enough to cover my sandwich. So I'm using cover and just shortening it down. It means to cover the cost of my sandwich. And you go, great. And you leave and you buy me the best cheese and pickle sandwich ever. Ooh, knocking the computer. Ta-da! Okay, so the next time that we'll see the word should is if we're using conditionals. Now, you know how I feel about grammar, and the word conditionals just makes me go, oh. So, in very basic terms, if we say, if I, or if we, in a sentence, then we can use should. So, I might be saying, let's pretend that I'm your supervisor at work. I'm your supervisor, but I'm only your supervisor on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And on Thursday, the supervisor has to make a decision about how much you get paid. But I'm not the supervisor on Thursday. I'm the supervisor on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so on Thursday, the other supervisor makes a decision not to give you a pay rise. They decide not to give you a pay rise. And I say, look, if I were in charge, I should give you all a pay rise. So I'm saying, if I were in charge, I should give you all a pay rise. So perhaps if my shift changes and I get put on the Thursday shift the next time the pay review comes round, I might give you all a pay rise. So if I were in charge, I should give you all a pay rise. That's what I will do. If I. And the other example I've got here is if we had more time for each other, then we should be the best of friends. If we had more time for each other, then we should be the best of friends. So using should with conditionals. Okay, so that's the word should. Hopefully you haven't found that too difficult and that's been quite straightforward enough for you. Oh my goodness, we have 125 people. That means in Facebook, hello, hi. That means that you guys have been clicking share. So please carry on, click that share button. It's working. And you guys too on YouTube, please do feel free to share this lesson and let your friends know about it, because the more you guys help me out, the more I can help you. So help me to help you. There's the slogan. Hello, I'm Anna English. Help me to help you. So that's the word should. Should. Most of the time, I remember the word should as being obligation. You are obliged to. So if you just always try to think, if I can say I am obliged to, you are obliged to, then you can use should. Okay? So that's more often than not, you are responsible for or you are obliged to is the replacement for should. Okay? Now, the next one we're going to tackle is would. Would. Okay? Now, this word is pronounced exactly the same as this. Knock on wood. 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 W-O-O-D. But this would is W-O-U-L-D. But they are pronounced exactly the same. Okay? I always hear strange pronunciations of this word. Wold. Wold. Because it looks funny. But the L, guys, is silent. The L is silent. So ignore the L. Ignore the vowels. Just imagine a Oh, hello, Laura. Laura's in. Hi. Sorry, there's some people that I recognise that I haven't seen in the live lessons very often, so it's lovely to see you here, Laura. Okay, so would. Let's jump straight into the notes, shall we? So we have would. When would we use would? We use would when making a polite request or a polite offer. We use would when talking about the past. We use would when talking about the future in the past. Mind blown. What does that mean? I will tell you, don't you worry. We also use would when expressing a desire, or when expressing a wish, a hope, or when using conditionals. What again? This is confusing, but don't you worry. We're going to go through it one at a time. So, I told you this was going to be a long lesson. So, a polite request or offer. So if I'm basically, if I'm asking you to do something for me and I want it to sound polite, I don't want to sound rude, what we tend to do is ask using the word would. Would you get that for me? Would you do that for me? It just makes it sound a little bit nicer than get me that, do that. If you do say, do that now, get that, pass me that, it sounds more like an order and it sounds quite abrupt and rude. So what we tend to do, even if it is an order, so if you're someone who's in your work, if you have to collaborate with other people or if you have to ask people to do things for you, even if it's an order and they have to do what you say, in the UK, We will always make it sound like it's optional. So let's imagine you have to do a report for me. You have to do a report. It's part of your job. And if you don't do this report, you will be fired. But instead of saying, get that report on my desk in the next 5 minutes, I could say to you, I probably would say to you, would you get that report to me in the next 5 minutes? Would you? It just makes it sound softer and more gentle and polite. So people react better to it because they don't feel like they're being bossed about. Okay, so it's the same also when you're offering something. So rather than saying, do you want a drink? Because that sounds quite abrupt. Do you want a drink? I might say, would you like a drink? So some of the examples I've got written down here are, would you mind turning the music down? So imagining someone is very, very loud, I might have to say, would you mind turning the music down? It's a little bit loud. Thank you very much. If I'm eating a chocolate bar and we're good friends and you're staring at my chocolate bar and you're dribbling, you're drooling, going, oh, that looks so nice. That looks really, really tasty. I might say, would you like a bite of my chocolate bar? Would you like a bite of my chocolate bar? It's very nice. Are you sure? Are you sure you wouldn't like a bite of my chocolate bar? Are you sure? Okay. And then the next example I've got is, would you be so kind? This is a phrase that we use. I wouldn't imagine. So this I imagine really kind of posh people saying, but it's very nice. It's very formal and very polite. A very polite way of asking for something. You say, would you be so kind as to? Would you be so kind as to pass me my handbag? Would you be so kind as to tell me where I am? I'm lost. Would you be so kind as to share your thoughts with me? Would you be so kind as to cook my dinner? Would you be so kind as to find me a chair to sit on? Would you be so kind as to? So remember that one. That's a good one. I like it. And then we could also say, I bought a fabulous new dress. Ta-da! Would you like to see it? I bought a fabulous new dress. Would you like to see it? This is not a new dress, it's just a top. But there's the example sentences. Okay, so nice and easy. Polite requests or polite offers. Would. Then we have would when we're talking about the past. So the word would is the past tense of will. It's the past tense of will. So we might be at the stadium at the Olympic Games, and I might say, watching the race, I was confident that you would win. So you're running, I'm your supporter, and at the moment that you ran, I was confident that you would win. I was confident back then. If I said it in the present tense and you're just, or in the future tense, you've not started the race and I say, I am confident that you will win. I am confident that you will win. But then it happens, you win. And after the event, I say, I was confident that you would win. I was confident that you would win. I knew it. I knew you would. Yes, some of you saying your video image has flipped around on Facebook. That's because I have the camera facing me so I can see what's going on with the stream, and that flips everything. So be happy is more like eb yippah. But that says be happy. If it was the right way around, it says be happy. So be happy. Okay, so the past tense, nice and easy. I was confident that you would win. We also, in the past, would see would used a lot in reported speech. So, has anyone here seen the film Titanic? Have you seen the film Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet? And it's the love story. And at the end, they're both in the sea, and they're freezing to death. And Kate Winslet is on a floating piece of wood, she's staying out of the icy cold water. And Jack has frozen to death in the water and they're holding hands. And before he died, he says to her, "Never let go. Never let go, Rose. Never let go." He means never let go of the promise, but then when she wakes up and sees that he's dead, she lets him go and says, "I'll never let go, Jack. I'll never let go." Which is just like, what? You just let him go and you're saying you'll never let go. And so if Jack came back to life, he could say to her, "Rose, how can I trust you now, Rose? You told me that you would never let go. You told me that you would never let go." Reported speech. Rose, if you don't know, is an English name. It's the name of a flower, but we also have it as a name, Rose. So the next example I've got is reported speech. The boys promised that they wouldn't do it again. The boys promised that they wouldn't do it again. Okay. We also use would when talking about the past and we're talking about old habits. So instead of saying used to, we could say would. So for example, you could say, "I used to smoke. I would smoke 40 cigarettes a day. Yeah, it ruined my voice. I would smoke 40 cigarettes a day. I don't smoke, and I never smoked 40 cigarettes a day. But if I did, then instead of saying I used to, I could say I would smoke 40 cigarettes a day." Okay? Then I could say, when travelling the world, we would buy postcards in each place and send them home to our loved ones. When travelling the world, we would buy postcards. We would buy postcards in each place and send them home to our loved ones. So instead of using used to, we used to buy postcards. We would buy postcards. Okay? So the next example of when we use would in the past is if we're talking about the future in the past. And this is that, what? What does that even mean? Talking about the future in the past? That's crazy. My head is just exploding with, I'm just baffled. I'm baffled. To be baffled is to be confused. I'm baffled. I love that word. I think you probably heard me use that quite a few times. I am baffled. So talking about the future in the past. So for example, if you're telling a story from the past and you know how the story turns out because it's the past, you're talking about the future as it is now in the past. Or if you're an author and you're writing a story about other people, and you're using hindsight. Hindsight is the ability to see. So I'll come back to hindsight. Hang on. So let's move on with this. An example sentence of talking about the future in the past is, "That is the day I met the woman who would change my life forever." So I met a woman who changed my life. I met her 3 years ago and she changed my life. And if you say, "How did you meet her?" Tell me about your life 3 years ago. And I'm telling you about my life 3 years ago. And then I say, "Oh, and one day I met this incredible woman. I didn't think I would ever see her again, but that was the day I met the woman who would change my life forever. She would change my life. Because over the next 3 years, she did change my life." That one's a more difficult one to get your head around. I don't know what's going on with this phone. It's very hot. I hope I don't lose you, Facebook. My phone is not feeling very happy. Let's hope it sticks out. So another example of talking about the future in the past is, stick with me on this one, "Unbeknownst to them, this letter would prove to be highly valuable in the weeks to come." Unbeknownst to them. This sentence, this phrase, "unbeknownst to them," is a good one. Write this one down. Unbeknownst to them You can see the notes on YouTube if you can't see them on Facebook. Unbeknownst to them, this letter, do I have the letter? I have no letter. This letter would prove to be highly valuable in the weeks to come. So I just find an old dusty letter. I'm like, what's this letter? And I don't know right now. Unbeknownst to them means you don't yet know. You don't realize. So unbeknownst to her, unbeknownst to Anna, this letter would actually turn out to be incredibly valuable in the weeks to come. It would prove to be highly valuable in the weeks to come. Okay, hopefully that one hasn't baffled you too much. I talked a moment ago about the word hindsight. We often use this word in English when we're talking. And say, for example, I go out and I buy this pillow. And I buy this pillow to go in my front room. I put the pillow in my front room, and everybody in the house hates it because it's the wrong colour. Everyone hates it because it's the wrong colour, but when I was choosing it, I thought that everyone would love it. But everybody hates it. And now I know everyone hates it. If I had known that before, if I'd have known that they didn't like this colour, then I wouldn't have bought it. So I could say, with hindsight, if I had known, with hindsight, I wouldn't have bought it. So it's just like saying, if I had known. If I had known back then what I know now, I would do it differently. Okay, so the next one is what we can use would when we're expressing desire. This is an easy one. So you could say, I would love to, I would love to eat cake every single day. I would love to eat cake every single day. I love cake. Do you love cake? What would you love to do every single day? I would love to wake up in the morning in a bright, airy, sunny room, walk out of my doors, jump into a clear blue ocean, swim to wake me up, then come out and eat cake. So I would just expresses desire. If someone is going on holiday to somewhere like Bali, for example, and you're sitting there going, I'm stuck in rainy London. Oh, I would love to go to Bali. I would love to come with you. I would love it. I would love it. I would love it. You can also say, I would like everyone to be happy. This is something that I want. I would like everyone to be happy. Okay? So that's easy. That's easy peasy. The next way that we can use the word would is to express a wish. To express a wish. So you could say, basically, if you use the word wish, then you're likely to use the word would. So I wish you would spend every day with me. I wish you would spend every day with me. Or you could say to someone, I wish you would be quiet. I wish you would be quiet. Or I wish they would stop knocking at my door. Or I wish you would make me a cup of tea in the morning. I wish you would. I wish they would. He wishes you would write to him more often. They wish that you would stream live lessons every day. So if you say the word wish, then you can use the word would. All right, nice and easy. And we also said that you use the word would when talking with conditionals, second and third conditionals. Again, grammar. Basically, use would when talking about an unlikely or an impossible situation. Okay? That makes it easier. Rather than thinking second, third conditionals, what's second and third conditionals again? I'm confused. If you're talking about a situation that is unlikely, like if I were a boy, yeah, then I could use the word would. If I were a boy, I would... And that's a famous song, right? If I were a boy, I'd something, something, something. Do you know that song by Beyonce? So you could say, if I were, I would. If he were, he would. If he were here now, if your father were here now, he would be very angry. That's something my mother used to say to me. If your father were here now, Anna, then you would be in a lot of trouble. You want to be grateful that it's me dealing with you and not your father. Sorry, Mum. So if I were. Okay, so I've given some examples here, and they are, if I were the president, I would work harder. Ooh. If I were the president, I would work hard for world peace. If I were the president, I would work hard for world peace. Yeah, go President Anna. Okay, or I could say, if I were 8 years old, I would beg my mum to let me have piano lessons. If I were 8 years old, I would beg my mum to let me have piano lessons. Okay, so when talking about an unlikely situation, I'm never going to be 8 years old again. I am never going to be the president because I'm not American, so I could never be president. So impossible or unlikely situations, you would use would. All right. Okay, so that is would covered. That is should covered. What should? So remember, I'm asking your opinion here. So I'm using the word should. So I'm asking your opinion. What should we cover next? And now I'm going to talk about what I'm obliged to do. My obligation was to teach you, because I promised you I would teach you should, would, and could. So I should teach you could. I should teach you about the word could, because I've already talked about should and would. Am I confusing you now? Oh, gosh. Okay. So, the word could. Is everyone okay? Is everyone well? I'm going to stay on for about 10 minutes at the end of the lesson. So keep your questions and I will answer them as soon as I can after delivering the rest of this lesson. Guys, if you're new, you're just joining here, make sure you've subscribed. If you're on YouTube, make sure you've given this lesson a thumb up. There's 230 of you here. Yay! Facebook, if you're here, please click the share button. That's all I ask. Click the share button and maybe a bit of love, and that would make me very happy. And the more you share, the more people that get involved, the more I'm going to do these lessons for you. So it's in your best interest. All right, let's move on to the word could. Could. Okay, so the word could. It's pronounced as if it's written C-U-D. Could. Could. All of them sound the same, right? Could, would, should. Could, would, should. So we use the word could. Basically, it's the past tense of the word can. So if you're talking about something that uses the word can, but it's in the past, then you use the past tense, which is could. Could. And we also talk about it when we're talking about possibilities in the future. Possibilities in the future. And we also use could, again, when making polite requests. Just like in the word would. So let's jump straight into it. If we're talking in the past, I could use a sentence like, when we train, we couldn't be beaten. When we trained, so I'm talking in the past, when we trained, we couldn't be beaten. So imagine that I'm part of a trampolining team. I'm one part of a trampolining team, and I'm telling you that in the past, when we trained hard, when we worked hard, we could not be beaten. We couldn't be beaten. We couldn't be beaten. When we trained, we couldn't be beaten. If I was saying at the time, in the present, I would say we can't be beaten. We're too good. When we train hard, we can't be beaten because we're awesome. Yes, we are. Okay. Make the screen a bit brighter. The next example sentence I've got here is, at 10 years old, I could take care of myself. At 10 years old, I could take care of myself. In fact, I was having a conversation recently with a lady who has a 14-year-old. She has a 14-year-old son who can't cook himself dinner, who can't even make toast, who can't wash his own clothes, who can't clean his own room. She does everything for him because he just says, I can't do it. I can't. I don't know how to. And I said to her, when I was 10 years old, I could take care of myself completely. I could cook, I could clean, I knew how to use the washing machine. I could do it at 10 years old. Okay? So if I was a 10-year-old, I'd say, I can wash, I can cook, I can clean. And in the past, it's I could. And the final one, in the negative, is when I broke my leg, I couldn't walk for months. When I broke my leg, I could not walk for months. And that word, people always ask me for the pronunciation of, so as we're here, I'll do it for you. Months, months, months. Tongue out and then back in. Months. Okay? So, when I broke my leg, I couldn't walk for months. So, that's an easy use of the word could. We also use could when talking about future possibilities. So, I could say, tomorrow, I could do a live lesson. Tomorrow, I could do a live lesson. It is possible for me to do a live lesson. It doesn't mean I intend to. It just means it's possible. So it's possible. I can. I have the time. I can do a live lesson, but I'm not sure if I want to or if I will. I don't know. I could, but I don't intend to. Okay? So future possibilities, remember that one. You could also say, you could try calling back in an hour. So let's imagine someone phones. Let's imagine this is a phone. Let me get you guys on YouTube back up. Imagining this is a phone. Bring, bring. Hello. Hello. Is your mother there? Oh, no, my mother's not home at the moment. Oh, do you know when I will be able to get hold of her? Well, I mean, you could try calling back in an hour. That means to call back is to call again. You could try calling back in an hour. Thank you very much. I'll call back in an hour. Okay, bye. Bye now. So, future possibilities. This is what you could do. It is possible. All right. I do like my bears. They're very helpful in these lessons. So we could also use could for polite requests, to make polite requests. Just like when you said would you pass me that glass? Would you pass me my handbag? Would you be so kind as to give this video a like? Would you be so kind as to press subscribe? We can also use could. Now, we use it in exactly the same way as can when we're requesting something, but could just sounds more polite than can. So if I say to you, can you pass me a drink? Can you pass me that drink, please? It's more polite to say, could you pass me that drink, please? Could you just wait here for a moment and look after my bag? It's much more polite than, can you just wait here for a minute and look after my bag? I mean, there's very little in it, but could is just slightly more polite. So go for could instead of can, and you'll be in a better place. The examples that I've put here, I've been a little bit sarcastic with these examples. I've put, could you get off your lazy bum and do something? Could you get off your lazy bum and do something? I'm obviously being sarcastic with this one because I'm not being polite, because I'm saying they're on a lazy bum. Your bum is your bottom, it's what you sit on. And imagining my boyfriend is being lazy. Imagine this is my boyfriend. He's just been lying around playing on the PlayStation all day. I've been working hard. I've come home from work. I've made dinner. I've fed the kids. I've hoovered the house. And I'm just looking at him and going, could you get off your lazy bum and do something, please? Well, and they'll go, oh, all right, darling, stop moaning. Another example is, Could you give me a hand with this box? So if I'm carrying a box and it's very heavy, I might say to you, could you give me a hand with this box? I could ask you, could you close the door behind you? Close. Could you close the door behind you? So you're about to leave. It's very windy outside. People keep leaving the door open. And I say, could you just close the door behind you when you leave? Thank you. And then the last one is, could you tell me where the pub is? Excuse me, I'm looking for the pub. Could you tell me where the pub is? And they'll say, yes, it's that way. Okay, so that's would, should, and could. Now, there's one rule to remember when you're using these in a sentence, all of them. When you're using all of them in a sentence, you must remember, never use the word to directly after should, would, and could. So you shouldn't say, you should to call home. No, you should call home. You should call your mum. Never, you should to call your mum. No, we never say should to. Never. We never say could to. So I'm not going to say to you, I could to live lesson tomorrow. I could to live lesson tomorrow. No, I would say I could do a live lesson tomorrow. But I wouldn't say I could to do a live lesson tomorrow. You should never say would to. Would to. So I would never say I would to like. So if I said I would like. If I said I would like to go home. I would like to go home. I wouldn't say I would to like to. I would to like to go home. That's bad English. So just remember the rule. Never use the word to directly after should, would, or could. Okay? All right, so that is the end of the lesson. 56 minutes. Goodness me. Thank you so much for those of you who stuck around to watch all of that. I'm now going to stay around for to do some. Oh, let me just get rid of this. I'm now going to stay around to do some questions and comments. The best place to get your questions answered is to hop over to YouTube. The link is in the description of this video. Before you leave, if you are leaving now, please do either subscribe, like, love, and if you're really grateful for what I do, then click that share button before you go, and that would really make a huge difference to me. So, patrons, do we have any questions? No, patrons are quiet. Okay, so now it's over to you guys. What do you guys want to know? Let me see if I can help you. Could you please help me with this? Oh, okay, so some people are just doing examples. Eduardo, when you ask something to somebody, is more polite to use conditionals? So you mean, so if you say, instead of saying to someone, could you pass me my coat? You're saying, is it more polite to say, it would be great if you could pass me my coat? I don't think so. I think sometimes it depends on the tone as well, really. Sometimes people use conditionals in questions in a sarcastic way. So I might say to you, yeah, it would be nice if you passed me my coat. And that's obviously not very polite. Yeah, it'd be nice to see you sometimes. It would be nice to hear from you. In fact, using conditionals when you're kind of yeah, I think it depends on the tone more than anything. Julia has written the tongue twister. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood in a truck? That's a good one to remember. Could for possibilities. What is the possibility? How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood in a truck? A woodchuck would chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could chuck wood. Okay, it's a great tongue twister, by the way. Any questions coming through of late? I'm sorry if I've missed anything. Anna, could you please make more bite-sized lessons, says Noor. I will try my best. I've got a very heavy schedule at the moment, so I'm struggling to get lessons out to you because I have to make some money sometimes, and unfortunately this month has just been a killer month, so I've had to take on some extra work, and that's why I haven't been live every day. But yes, bite-sized lessons actually take longer to make than you would think. But yes, I will make an effort to make some more bite-sized lessons for you. Hi teacher, you look really perfect today. Oh, thank you very much. I actually feel like I look quite scruffy. I feel like my hair is scruffy. But thank you very much. That's very kind of you. How do you pronounce these words and use them in daily use? Oh, the word shag is not a good word. Don't use that word. Leg it is to run away. So if I was to say, we were walking down the street and I saw someone I didn't like, so I legged it. It just means I ran. What else were you asking? Oh, I've lost the comment. Dodgy. Dodgy. If someone thinks something is dodgy, then it's not trustworthy. It's untrustworthy. Something's dodgy. So if you sit on a chair that has a broken leg, I could call that chair a dodgy chair. That's a dodgy chair. Don't sit on that dodgy chair. You can also call a person dodgy if a person is untrustworthy. I could say, I don't like him. He's dodgy. What else do we have? A cock up. If you cock something up, phrasal verb, cock up, is to make a mess of something, to ruin something. So if I'm writing a lovely handwritten letter and then I slip or I sneeze, achoo, and my pen goes all across the letter, I could go, oh, I've cocked up. I've messed up. I've made a mistake. I've ruined it. Julia, could you take me in England? Could you take me to England? I can't take you to England because I'm already in England. So you'd say, could you bring me to England? Because I'm here already. I don't think so. I'm sorry. I don't have a big suitcase. I don't know how I'd get you here. Anna, what's the difference between I could do a live lesson tomorrow and I can do a live lesson tomorrow? No real difference. No real difference. One just sounds more polite than the other, but they're exactly the same in that circumstance. Zahar says, well done, Anna. I have nothing to ask. Thank you very much. I'm glad you find that useful. Hello, Anna. Is there a difference between should and shall? Should do it, I shall do it. I should do it, I shall do it. Yes, I would say there is a difference. So off the top of my head, it's very hard answering these questions off the top of my head. But off the top of my head, should is like what we've talked about here. Obliged, you're responsible to. I should go to work. I shall states intention rather than obligation. So it's what I'm doing. I shall be at work as soon as I can be, or I shall go to work at 10 o'clock. It's my intention. It's like shall is more like will. Shall is like will, whereas should is different. Anna, if you went on safari, what animal would you most like to see? Are there any animals or insects you're afraid of? I have been on safari, actually. I was very lucky to go on safari while I was working on a ship, and we docked in Africa, and so I got to go on an African safari. I like seeing elephants. I would like to see some wild cats. Actually, I'd love to see lions and tigers in their natural territory. I'd love to see some bears, actually, as well. I've never seen a bear, I don't think. And am I afraid of any animals? I'm not really afraid of animals. I don't like the idea of being in the ocean or in the water with killer sharks and crocodiles. They scare me a little bit. But I'm not frightened of spiders or snakes or anything. I just don't want to be bitten by anything. Julia saying Big Ben will be silent for 4 years. That's very old news, actually. Yes, they're doing some upgrading work on Big Ben, so it won't chime for a while. Could you make conversation videos? Yes, I do plan to. I have done one. I did a conversation video with Ali from Papa English, so you can go and check that out. I think the lesson might be called Making Conversation or something. Okay, I've seen some people using would instead of did. Is that correct? Can you give me an example of a sentence, Juan, with that usage? Would have and could have. Oh gosh, now we're getting complicated. That's to do with conditionals. If I had done this, so you would use would have and could have with conditionals. So if I say, oh, I've lost Facebook. Does Facebook limit the time that you have in a live stream? That's crazy. Facebook limit you to an hour. I didn't know that. Well, bye-bye Facebook. Goodness me. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, I must bear that in mind in future. If I'm going to say would have and could have, I need an if. So I need a conditional. So if let's say that you are late. Let's say that you are late. We're going on a date, and we're going to go to the theatre. And you turn up late, and we miss the start of the show. And I've paid a lot of money for these tickets, and I'm in a bad mood. I'm in a very bad mood. And so then I could say, if you had been on time, I would have been. If you had been on time, we would have been at the show right now having fun, and I wouldn't be in a bad mood. If you had been on time, we would have been in the show right now having fun. Is that right? I could have. I might also say, if you had given me a chance, I could have been a star. So let's say you're a casting director and it's your job to put people on television into movies. And I say to you, if you had given me a chance, if you had just seen my show reel, if you had just looked at my CV, I could have been a big star. I could have been a big star. So, sorry, could have and would have are used with conditionals. I'm sorry if my explanation wasn't great. It's hard to explain these things off the cuff. Could you pronounce miscellaneous? Miscellaneous. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up there because I'm just starting to ramble now. I'm getting tired and I have other things I need to do. So I'm going to say thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed being here with you. I hope you found that helpful. And it's Friday. It's Friday. So I will probably, I could do a lesson on Monday. I will try my best to have a lesson ready for you on Monday. So look out for the announcements of the lesson. I will announce it on Facebook and on Instagram. So come and join me on one of those or both of those. Do make sure you subscribed. And if you haven't had enough of me yet, then do make sure to look at my video archive. I've done lots of videos here for you now, guys. There's over 200 lessons here. I recently released a lesson on the Scottish accent with the lovely Stephen, who wasn't wearing any underwear when we were filming. It's true, he had no pants on, and he was wearing a kilt. So a bit of a flap and you could see everything. You need to go and check out the video. So if you haven't already, do go and check it out. Okay, guys, it's been lovely to see you. Lots of love from London. Take care and goodbye. Mwah.